name is Yasaman Nozari and I come from Tehran, Iran. It's almost 2 years that I live in Belgium now, and before that I worked and exhibited my works mainly in Iran. I paint, I draw, I sometimes write and translate, and I archive, and I see art and painting in general as a series of choices, and I believe these series of choices are always informed by the body, the state of the mind, the state of the world, the weather, the politics, and everything. And it's interesting for me to see how these decision-making processes turn into a visual language. And since moving to Belgium, I'm trying to decipher these decisions, because before that I wasn't really aware of why I'm making these visual decisions and putting stuff together, but now I think it's becoming more clearer for me and I have more consciousness about this. And for example, in the painting that is behind me, A Small Ocean Swallowed, I put two images together. One is a painting by Picasso. It's an evocation painting, belongs to his blue period, and one is a picture of a press photo of women and children in the dead bodies of them in Sudan, ongoing civil war. And I put these two pictures together because they made me feel a sense of grief that I was dealing with at the moment. And I thought putting them together, although they're not really connected to each other from a history's perspective or anything, I thought they, in a visual term, they really go together. And I see collage has become a very important tool for me since moving, because when I wanted to come here, I used to keep a lot of images in my studio and I had to take them apart because I couldn't bring them all together. I just picked out some pieces that I found really touching and I had memories with, so I just collected those and carried a small part of those images and bring them to here. And so whenever I'm trying to start a new painting, I put those textures and rhythms together, and it's a way of image making for me, and it's a way of thinking through images, and also collaging is a way of remembering for me. It's like making a body of all the past traces and all the things that you have forgot. So somehow it's a resistance to art forgetting and repeating again. So it's very interesting for me. Whenever I want to start a new painting, as I said, I always start with a collage. I put together images, and these images are an ever-growing toolbox. It's never the same images. I collect from Instagram, news sources, and anything that I find interesting. My previous paintings, newer paintings that I find, and I start with those fragments and piece together information, and I do watercolor drawings of those, so I can simplify the forms, the compositions, and figure out how to perform the painting and what colors to choose and where to go with it. So, and after that, when I want to start a painting, I always start with acrylic, because acrylic quickly dries, and it's very important for me because the first layers are always like you're jotting down your thoughts and emotions, and you have to be fast. So because I work in layers, and layers take a long time to dry, especially in Belgian weather, it's always very wet. And after that, I work with oil color, because the texture and the color quality always suits my works the best. And I simultaneously work on 4 to 5 paintings at once, because I need time to see how I want to go. Because at first it's very quick, it's very fast, but then you need time to let the painting breathe and to think about how to end it at the end. This series of paintings was really personal for me, This year I lost my grandmother, which was a significant part of my life, and at the same time I became very interested in the idea, in the whole process of depletion of Lake Urumia. Lake Urumia is a lake in Iran that we have been hearing news about it, like being depleted. And the thing that was interesting for me as a painter, it was that the depletion showed itself in through the change of colors, and like it turned from blue to green, and then green to ochre, and ochre to red, and at the last stage it becomes a white because it's salty, so just the salt remains. And I was thinking like how color can carry the narrative weight of loss, because my work, the initial ideas of the series I work with, they always start with the element of natural environments. Like the other series I had back in Iran, it was about the cycle of darkness, like how day turns into night, and how it carries a very emotional and also a very metaphorical language to speak through. So that is why I chose Lake Urumia to get inspired by, and I decided not to show this depletion through this color change, like do one painting only in red, do one painting. I decided to how I felt the grief. The grief was in waves, it was coming and going, it was always there, but it changed. So I thought maybe I can use the colors in the paintings in a way that they are based on the composition and the feeling I felt. So they became kind of like a symbol of a state of losing, a very gentle loss. You could see that this is this state and this is that state. So it was at the back of my mind when I was painting, but it wasn't like my guideline, but it made me, in a way, it gave me freedom and it limits me at the same time. It was really inspiring for me. Because of where I come from Iran, I think I always feel it is somehow expected of me to say something political or paint a political image that is quite, it's very, not in a very explicit way, but a way that it is like a slogan at the end. But my paintings are mostly about memory and resisting the loss of this memory and remembering. And I actually see it as a very political act in itself. So I think in this way I connect to the history I come from. And speaking of that, I have a small ritual whenever I want to start a painting. I always look at an Iranian miniature, because they're always full of unexpected decision makings that you cannot see in Western art or anything like that. They are a lot of details, there are a lot of details, so fragile, and I don't know, it's just a strange world to be immersed in. I see painting like a reverse puzzle. As I said, I know where I want to go, but as I begin to work on a painting, I feel like I'm mostly arriving at some questions. And for me, the ideal state of a painting is to end in a question, to feel like a question from a person who's looking at it. Like, I think through this curiosity, I want the person to connect to my work. The title of the paintings are always the last things that I add, so I never really think about them when I'm doing the painting. And it's always at the end, it's like the point at the end of the sentence. I'm feeling like, okay, what was I thinking when I did it, and what kind of literature I was using, or who were the artists that inspired me, and how do they title their works. And so yeah, it's always a combination of things that inspire me to name them. Yeah, and as I said, like metaphors and poetry is always interesting for me. So I think the titles of my works mostly tend to be poetical in a way. I think one thing that I like the viewer to take from this exhibition is to feel seen through this connection, and to become more aware in this sense of decision making, like to be at the moment and be more conscious.